When federal agents raided Sean Diddy Combs' mansions in March 2024, they discovered what prosecutors are calling a criminal enterprise that had been operating in plain sight for decades. The evidence they found was so disturbing that it led to federal charges that could put one of hip-hop's biggest moguls behind bars for life. We're talking about sex trafficking, racketeering, and a pattern of abuse that prosecutors say involved hundreds of victims. But what's making headlines right now isn't just the charges. It's the growing speculation that former President Trump might issue a presidential pardon, and the evidence that's been revealed is more shocking than anyone imagined. Sean John Combs, known by various stage names including Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, and simply Diddy, built one of the most successful entertainment empires in modern history. Born in Harlem in 1969, Combs started as an intern at Uptown Records before founding Bad Boy Entertainment in 1993. He discovered and developed artists like the Notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, and Maze, becoming one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop by the 2000s. Combs had expanded beyond music into fashion with his Sean John clothing line, restaurants, and various business ventures. His net worth was estimated at over $740 million, making him one of the wealthiest figures in entertainment. But according to federal prosecutors, behind the glamorous facade of private jets, celebrity parties, and business success, Sean Combs was allegedly operating what they describe as a criminal enterprise. The indictment, unsealed in September 2024, paints a picture of a man who used his wealth, power, and influence to allegedly coerce, abuse, and traffic victims for his sexual gratification and to maintain his reputation and control. What makes this case particularly shocking is the scope of the alleged crimes. Prosecutors claim this wasn't isolated incidents, but a systematic pattern of abuse that spanned decades and involved multiple victims, employees, and associates. The charges include racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution, charges that carry a potential life sentence. The investigation that would ultimately bring down Sean Combs began with raids on his properties in Los Angeles and Miami on March 25, 2024. Federal agents from Homeland Security Investigations executed search warrants simultaneously at both locations as part of what they described as an ongoing investigation into sex trafficking. During these raids, agents reportedly seized what prosecutors later described as freak-off supplies, including drugs, baby oil, lubricant, and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. They also confiscated firearms, ammunition, and what they characterized as evidence of the alleged crimes. The raids were the culmination of a federal investigation that had been building for months, triggered by multiple civil lawsuits filed against Combs beginning in late 2023. The first major lawsuit was filed by his former girlfriend, singer Cassie Ventura, in November 2023. Ventura's lawsuit alleged years of physical and sexual abuse, including claims that Combs forced her to engage in sexual acts with male prostitutes while he watched and recorded. Although Combs settled Ventura's lawsuit within 24 hours for an undisclosed amount, it opened the floodgates for additional accusers to come forward. Following Ventura's lawsuit, multiple other individuals filed civil suits against Combs, alleging sexual assault, rape, and abuse spanning back decades. The allegations painted a consistent pattern of behavior involving the use of drugs, alcohol, and coercion. The federal indictment, unsealed on September 17, 2024, revealed the scope of the government's case. Prosecutors allege that from at least 2008, Combs led what they termed the Combs Enterprise, a criminal organization that engaged in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. According to the indictment, Combs allegedly used his businesses, employees, and associates to carry out these crimes. The document describes elaborate sexual performances called freak-offs, which prosecutors claim were coercive and often lasted for days. When Combs was arrested on September 16, 2024, at a Manhattan hotel, he was immediately taken into custody without bail. During his detention hearing, prosecutors argued that he posed a flight risk and a danger to the community. Federal prosecutors presented evidence of what they claimed was a pattern of witness intimidation and obstruction of justice. They alleged that Combs had attempted to contact potential witnesses and victims in the case, even from jail. Combs was sent to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, the same facility that has housed other high-profile defendants, including Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell and NXIVM leader Keith Raniere. His legal team filed multiple bail applications, offering up to $50 million in bond and proposing house arrest at his Miami mansion, but all bail requests have been denied. The evidence revealed in court filings in the federal indictment paints a disturbing picture of alleged systematic abuse and criminal enterprise. According to prosecutors, the freak-offs were elaborate sexual performances that Combs allegedly orchestrated and often recorded. The indictment states that these events sometimes lasted for days, and that participants were given 4 fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. The sheer volume of evidence seized during the raids was staggering. Court documents reveal that agents found over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant firearms, including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, large quantities of drugs including cocaine, ecstasy, and GHB, often called a date rape drug, and extensive video recordings. Perhaps most disturbing are the allegations in the indictment about the systematic nature of the alleged crimes. Prosecutors claim that Combs used his staff, including security personnel, house managers, and personal assistants, to facilitate and cover up the alleged abuse. The indictment alleges that employees were required to stock hotel rooms with supplies for free coughs, clean up afterward, and arrange for IV fluids for participants. Some employees allegedly helped transport victims, often across state lines. Multiple alleged victims have come forward with detailed accounts of abuse. One civil lawsuit describes an incident where the plaintiff claims she was drugged and sexually assaulted at one of Combs' parties when she was just 13 years old. Another lawsuit alleges that Combs threatened to destroy a victim's career if she did comply with his demands, demonstrating how prosecutors claim he used his industry power to maintain control over victims. What's making this case even more explosive is the recent speculation about a potential presidential pardon, with Donald Trump returning to office. Legal experts and media outlets have begun discussing whether Combs might seek or receive a presidential pardon. This speculation has intensified scrutiny on the case, with some arguing that federal crimes of this nature would be inappropriate for presidential clemency, while others point to Trump's history of controversial pardons. As of this recording, Sean Diddy Combs remains in federal custody at the Brooklyn MDC, awaiting trial on charges that could result in a life sentence. His legal team continues to maintain his innocence and has indicated they plan to fight all charges vigorously. They've characterized the government's case as based on lies, half-truths, and paid accusations. Federal prosecutors have indicated that their investigation is ongoing and that additional charges or defendants could be added. They've also encouraged other potential victims to come forward. The case has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and raised questions about how such alleged criminal activity could have continued for so long without intervention. Next week, we'll be diving into another case of power and alleged abuse in the entertainment industry, the disturbing allegations against several other high-profile figures that have emerged in the wake of the Combs investigation. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. Until then, remember that no amount of wealth or power should put anyone above the law.